Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. Do you guys remember me talking about the QSP Copperhead and how it's the poor man's Superfreek? Well, guess what? Baby's come home. Just take a look at these two for a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave those on there while I talk a little bit, go over some of the similarities and what you get for what you pay for. As you can see, these knives' cutting edges are virtually the same. The only thing that is a little bit different is the Superfreek is slightly longer, and that's due to the emphasized lanyard hole at the tail end, which is alright. It's not in the way of anything, basically that. Action-wise, if you exclude the axis lock, because, you know, not every knife can have an axis lock, and that's just satisfying to do. But when my Superfreek was gone, that's also satisfying to do. Once again, if you take a look at the cutting edges, they're the exact same. The ergonomics. Let's point out something here. The Copperhead goes up like this and like this. The chamfering kind of goes in almost like a hollow grind chamfering, and it goes up and in with the scales. Does it on both sides. So you have this contoured scales, but they're not 100% contoured. It's almost like they're just chamfered at a hollow grind and up and in. Well, guess what? I didn't know this until just now. So does the Superfreek. It's not rounded on the edges. It's just chamfered in and then like a hollow grind up. Same on both sides. So when I talk about ergonomics of these knives, there's no choke up position. When you grab it, you're grabbing it right here. And it feels great with the Copperhead. "100% honesty, no BS like involved in this. They feel the exact same in hand. And I'm gripping and I'm grabbing tight, right? They feel the exact same, with the exception of this little thumb ramp right here with this aggressive, wide jimping that the Superfreek brings. So, you know, recapping the first 2 points, very, very fidget friendly, both of these knives. Very, very ergonomically friendly, both of these knives. Very much the same exact blade length, both of these knives. I would love to say that there's more things that are the exact same, but they're not. I mean, if you look at the flat grind, the Superfreek starts out a little bit sooner, but let's take a look at the behind the edge thicknesses. This is 115th or 115 thousandths behind the edge. What is the Copperhead? The Copperhead comes in and I don't know these answers. This is kind of fun for me. 140 thousandths behind. Are you serious? Is that much of a difference? Holy crap. Well, I guess that's what you get when you pay a little bit more. Wow. Seriously? Yeah. Check this out. So the Copperhead has a much larger blade stock thickness. Let's go to the behind the edge thickness of these two. About 21. No, it just failed. There. About 24 thousandths behind the edge there. And yeah, about 24 thousandths. What's the Copperhead? Well, I'm glad you asked. About 28 thousandths behind the edge, 27 thousandths. Let's see what we're at up here. 26 thousandths. All right, so the Copperhead has a little bit thicker blade stock, it also has a little bit thicker behind the edge. So slicey, not as much. What is the... So I'm kind of going over specs of these, right? But the reason is I want to compare these. So I'm going to go to the middle of the scales. This is 59 thousandths, or I'm sorry, 590 thousandths, center to center on the Copperhead. The Superfreek coming in at 600 thousandths. So literally 10 thousandths difference right there. Let's talk about the height. 1.33 at the 1.42. So a difference of 9 thousandths right there. Both on thumb studs. The only difference in these two that we've measured so far, right, is the blade stock thickness, slightly larger on the Copperhead. The behind the edge thickness, slightly larger on the Copperhead. But also remember, you're paying $60 to $80 for this Copperhead versus $200 for the Superfreek. The Superfreek is a little bit longer. The pocket clips, the exact same depth and carry. Look at that. You guys thought I was crazy when I compared the Copperhead to the Superfreek. Bam! Let's check the overall length. So the overall length of the Superfreek is coming in at 8.5 inches, and the blade length is coming in at just over 3.5, and the cutting edge is exactly at 3.5. What is the Copperhead? About 8.25. The blade length is just over 3.5, and the blade and the sharpened edge is just at 3.5. Everything about these, and the funny part is when I started comparing the Copperhead to the Superfreek, I didn't have the Superfreek in hand. I actually lent it out to Corey over there at the Practical Blade. But I immediately recognized my Superfreek in this Copperhead. You guys are already seeing how very similar these two knives are. And that's why I called it the poor man's Superfreek. I'm not trying to be that guy that's like, yo, this is, buy this for X, Y, and Z. No. The Copperhead coming in at 4.96 ounces. The Superfreek coming in at 4.34. So very comparable weight. Both in the 4 ounce mark. Plus or minus half an ounce. They both have this lanyard hole at the back. The only difference is the axis lock, and you're missing some of the details that you get for paying an extra $120 more. Does that mean my Superfreek is worth any less because I can get the Copperhead? Absolutely not. But what does that mean? For those of you who cannot spend $200 on a fucking knife, because most of us can't. I caved in on one point in time and then said, yeah, okay. But I also paid with it with, what's it called? Sezzle, where I paid 4 payments of $60. This was $60 to $80. I think I got it for 60 off a drop, but it's going for 80 in most places. I asked QSP, when did the Copperhead get released? The Copperhead was released in 2019, like towards the end of it. So that's why I'm trying to modify my budget knife of the year, because the Copperhead fits the bill. Everybody raves about the Superfreek, and rightfully so. The Superfreek is amazing. But if you want a budget poor man's version of the Superfreek, here you go. All the stats, everything is indicating the QSP Copperhead fits the bill for the Benchmade Superfreek. The only thing you are missing is the axis lock and some of the details, you know, the cooler looking features. But this is a very cool looking knife in itself, in my opinion. Nowhere near the Superfreek. I mean, the Superfreek looks freaking awesome. The long story short is I made this video to kind of see if I was crazy. Every time I called the QSP Copperhead the poor man's Superfreek, I had never heard that before within the EDC community. But having felt the Copperhead, I also don't feel like many people gave QSP a chance when the Copperhead came out. And unfortunately for reviewers, we want to get our hands on the latest, greatest knife, get it out there so that people see it so they can buy the latest, greatest knife. It's one of those things where if you try to review the the SPYDERCO PM2, well, you're doing it because it's a SPYDERCO PM2. It's awesome, but it's been around for years. It's not because you're trying to get it out there so people have the information. This is the information. I am not trying to sell you guys on the idea that the BENCHMADE Superfreek is nowhere near as good and you should buy the QSP Copperhead. No. My actual point in this all being that the BENCHMADE Superfreek is a fantastic frickin' knife, but so is the QSP Copperhead. It is very, very reasonable to say that this is the poor man's Superfreek. As I said, in hand, ergonomically, it does not feel much different. The only difference is this thumb ramp. That's it. That's all you're missing from the QSP Copperhead. The action, phenomenal. You guys have seen my QSP videos. I'm kind of a QSP fanboy because their action is great. Their blades are great. Their quality is great. And not to be a jerk about CJRB, but QSP, if you guys continue doing what you're doing, you surpass CJRB in a heartbeat. Obviously, Civivi has their staple. They've pretty much staked their claim in the ground, but QSP definitely, for 80 bucks, man, 14C28N, stainless steel. It is a little bit softer, but you know what? I've used it, and I've used the shit out of it. I've used it for things that rolled this blade that would have chipped this M4. And that's okay. I mean, that's the difference between blade steels. You have to understand what you're using. But there's pros and cons to everything. You guys want a cheap Superfreek and you don't want to spend $200? Buy the QSP Copperhead. This is by far and large my favorite knife under $100 in my arsenal right now. And that's FYI, that's Rats 1 and Rat 2 chewing on their box in the corner. I think they're hungry. I gotta feed them some more shit. QSP Copperhead, BENCHMADE Superfreek. I am not saying one is worth more than the other based on price. If you take price into consideration and you treat that as a relative factor, you're getting a lot of the same qualities that you're getting in the Superfreek in the QSP Copperhead. I'm telling everybody right now, you guys know how I try to flip knives, I give away knives. I am never giving away this unless it's like a huge giveaway because I value the QSP Copperhead so much just because of what it brings to the table. The BENCHMADE Superfreek is a staple. It's easily, in my opinion, BENCHMADE's best knife. With the exception of the bug out to some people. It's not to me, but the bug out is obviously a benchmark in BENCHMADE's lineup. But benchmark in BENCHMADE's lineup that, you know, it did something unique. It did something, it filled a spot that wasn't there. But the Superfreek is the upgraded version of the MANIX 2 for SPYDERCO. That's the first time I've ever said that. Excuse me. The MANIX 2 is a phenomenal knife. The ergonomics on it, the first time you feel it, are just insane. The ergonomics on the Copperhead, insane. The only thing that's different is the forward finger choil. But what I'm saying is you got 3 different brands here, 3 different benchmark knives as far as knives that are awesome at quality, awesome at action, awesome at ergonomics, awesome at blade, everything that they do. Bam, there you go. You got the SPYDERCO MANIX 2. You have the QSP Copperhead, and you have the BENCHMADE Superfreek. These are all, in my opinion, equivalent relative to their price. Each one is worth the price that it is worth based on the quality and the attention to detail that they've given, you know, based on the price allowance that they have. But $200 short of everything I've done to it, about $110, and then $80. If you want to be the poor man's MANIX 2, Superfreek, etc., 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 do the QSP Copperhead. Those of you that like the larger knife, like I said, I forgot what it was, about 8 1/4 inches, full-size blade, everything you want, action, fidget factor, everything, go with the QSP Copperhead. You will not be disappointed. I am not trying to sell it. QSP does not sponsor me. Nobody sponsors me. It has nothing to do with me doing it for any other reason other than noticing that this is a diamond in the rough, guys. If I had to choose the knife of the year, or at least a knife of my career as a YouTube reviewer, I shouldn't call it a career, hobby, but it's the QSP Copperhead. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Tyler. This has been Everyday EDC. You guys stay sharp, stay safe. Have a great freaking night. Tomorrow's Friday. Let's get through it. Have a great day.